Thanks, Aaron. I'd like to publicly first thank Aaron for the honor and the privilege of introducing our next inductee. In the 1960s, the name Gordy Eaton was a legend in the alpine ski world. I can vividly remember my first impressions of Gordie was at the Middlebury Carnival in 1965. I was a freshman at St. Lawrence University. Gordie had just come back from the Olympics in 1964, and now he was skiing for the college. We were standing on the side of the hill before the slalom inspecting the course, and one of my teammates whispered, "Here comes Gordie." And everyone stopped what they were doing. No one talked. They just watched him ski by. That memory to me was a testament to the aura and the respect that Gordie had earned among his peers. Now, hopefully all of you have a program and can read about Gordie's many skiing accomplishments. But tonight I'd like to focus more on Gordie the person. I've really enjoyed over the past couple weeks speaking with members of Gordie's team. And in those conversations, when they describe Gordie, words like considerate, generous, genuine, fun-loving, and fatherly. One of Gordie's closest friends recently told me, "Gordy Eaton is the most kind person I've ever met." Now, of course, when I talked to these former teammates, there were a lot of stories that they told me that I really enjoyed, but as you can well imagine, many of those may not be appropriate for this gathering. However, Bugs Adams, who was one of Gordie's, one of his many roommates, told me a story that I'd like to pass on. It seems that the team used to travel in an old Volkswagen bus with a wooden ski rack on top. Well, on this particular day, Bugs and Gordie and Icky Weber decided they didn't want to go to the Snow Bowl. They wanted to go to Sugar Bush. So they threw their school-issued skis into the roof rack, and off they went. Now, if there are people in this audience who had never spent a winter in Vermont, we have a phenomenon here by the term of frost heaves. Now, frost heaves can be small or sometimes not so small bumps in the road that are caused by freezing and melting of water. Well, I'm sure those boys were in quite a hurry to get over there, or they hit one of those frost heaves just a little too hard, because when they got to Sugar Bush, you guessed it, the rack was empty. So panicked, they hopped back in the van, headed back over the gap, scouring the snowbanks, looking in the road, hoping to find the skis, to no avail. They got back to campus and they knew they'd have to face Bobo sooner or later. So they marched right up to Bobo's office. They walked in and Gordie said, "Bobo, we've got a problem." So when Bobo listened to the story that they told about losing the skis, I wasn't there, but Bugs said, he really read him the riot act. He told them, "Hey, these skis are expensive. This is school equipment. We don't have money in the budget to replace these. You're going to have to go down to Ski House and you're going to have to replace these skis." So the boys started to head for the door. And as they got to the door, Bobo said, "Hey boys, check behind the door." Sure enough, there were the 3 pair of skis, picked up by a friend of Bobo's, driven right to his office. So I'm sure that Bobo got quite a laugh about that throughout the winter and reminded them of that. As I look out in this audience and see this group, I think it's a fitting tribute to Gordie. The sheer number of teammates, of friends, of relatives, of coaches who are here to honor Gordie and celebrate with him his induction into the Hall of Fame. Gordy Eaton has been an incredible success throughout his life. As an athlete, as a coach, in the ski industry, in the restaurant business, as a husband, as a father, and now as a grandfather. Gordie and his lovely wife, Karen, are here tonight. They still live in Middlebury, they're semi-retired, and they're fully invested into their children and grandchildren. Please welcome Gordy Eaton.
First of all, I want to set the record straight. Don't believe anything you've heard tonight, okay? Thanks, Terry. I appreciate it. Now, also, I want to thank Middlebury College and the selection committee for this honor. When you consider the fact that men's athletics started here in the 1880s, women's athletics in 1934, and then in 1972, Title IX became the law of the land. Just think of the thousands of athletes who have represented Middlebury over that time. I've been very lucky, fortunate, blessed, pick an adjective, for so many wonderful associations and unbelievable opportunities in my life that it borders on embarrassing. Great upbringing, wonderful friends on my journey around this world, and many lessons learned from inspirational and dedicated teachers and coaches. And I want to use my time tonight to speak about some of these people, because in my world, they're very special. Now, the best thing that has ever happened to me is to have met and married the love of my life, Karen Budge. Now, without ski racing, our paths would have never crossed. We were married 44 years ago in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and we had what some would call an unconventional but memorable wedding ceremony. Many lives will never be the same after October 28, 1972, and Steve Adams and Pete Swallow can attest to that. And Karen and I are blessed to have this wonderful, interesting, colorful, and loving collection of our two kids, Abby and Chris, daughter-in-law Eliza Cameron and her family, and a group we call, with great affection, Team Chaos, our grandkids. Many of my college teammates and friends are here tonight, including my best friend, Steve Adams, and it's great to share this evening with them. And it's really extra special for me to be included this evening with Don Henderson, Bobo Sheehan, and Sara Mcneil Radovus. Don Henderson, his resume reads like the main character from Tom Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation. 10th Mountain Division, severe leg wound, long rehab, awarded the Purple Heart and Bronze Star, championship ski racer in all events for Middlebury, master's degree from Harvard, twice a Fulbright scholar, followed by a brilliant 36-year teaching career at Holderness School. Now, because of Don, it was the best academic experience I ever had. Sometimes the term life-changing event is overused, but for me, the year at Holderness truly was. And I am not alone with this assessment. I've spoken to many of Don's students, and they would agree with me with this assessment. Don's intellectual curiosity was immense and boundless. This passion for learning came through loud and clear. It was genuine, and it was palpable. He made the experience of challenging one's brain an exciting and lifelong journey. And for Don, it continues to this very day. He reads the New York Times every day. He especially looks forward to the Tuesday edition because it's the science section. And science seems to be his main interest today. And folks, he's 92 and he's sharp as a tack. Bobo Sheehan, my ski coach at Middlebury. Delightful personality, big on personal responsibility, great competitor and athlete, lover of life. But there's also a playful side to Bobo, and he loved doing things that would mess with the minds of the competition. Now here's an example. We're at the Williams Carnival at Mount Greylock, Thunderbolt Trail. This trail never did have a ski lift, so we all hiked. When we got to the start area, Bobo got us together and said he was concerned the course might break up. From the start, we could see only 6 gates. Then the trail turned left. We could not see the remainder of the course. So Bo says to us, I'm going to stand about a third of the way down the course, which is out of sight but within hearing range. And I will yell up to you the condition of the course. But, and he emphasizes this, he wants us to do the opposite of what he says. He makes the point that there are 2 audiences for this information. Now the course holds together, and just before each one of us gets into the start gate, this very distinct voice comes booming up through the hardwood forest. You guys take it easy on that section we talked about, because the course is breaking up. So for the mid kids, it was all systems go. But for every other racer, they were trying to figure out, does Bobo mean the whole course, or is it just one section? Where is that section? So we have the focus and the message we need, while the other racers are frantically trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about. And for Bobo, it is mission accomplished. We take 4 of the first 8 places and win the meet. Bobo was all about train hard, compete hard, but always enjoy the day, which is the very essence of sport. Now, Sara Mcneil Radamus. 2 words to describe Sara: great competitor. Another quick little story. It's Thursday afternoon. We're packing up for the trip to Hanover for the Dartmouth Carnival. Sara asks us if she can go home to Pollitt for the night, and she'll drive to the skiway in time for the GS Friday morning. So I say, that's fine, but be sure to be at the skiway by 7:30. So she says, no problem. Now it's Friday, 7:30, and no Sara. And now it's 7:55 and no Sara. So the rules at the time allowed a coach to change the lineup 1 hour before the race. I take Sara's name off the board and put in Ellen Hall. We had an exceptional women's team at the time: Leslie Orton, Tina Bessie, Lori Woodworth, Ellen, and Sara. So making a change like this was not going to be a problem. And by the way, we also had an excellent Nordic team at this time as well. So now it's 8:20, and guess who comes charging into the parking lot, jumps out of the car, runs up and says, where's my race bib? Now, Sara was always ready to race, but you can just imagine how fired up she was after a frantic 2-hour drive on icy, bumpy roads, going consistently over the speed limit, knowing she was going to be late. And I did remind her of our previous day's conversation. I also told her I had no way of knowing if she had been in an accident or had slept in. The team always comes first, so we're always going to go with a full team. When I told her she was not racing that day, this immediately became a one-sided conversation. She made it very clear to me that she was not happy with my decision. And I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely upset, Sara was a solid 10. As I took all this in, I was smiling because on the inside I knew tomorrow morning there'd be one racer who will be on time, focused, and ready to rip apart that slalom course, which she did, and she won going away. So happiness returned to McNeilus land once again. I'm getting close to the end of my time here, but there's one other person I definitely want to mention, and that's Bob Beatty. Bob graduated Middlebury in 1955, and he coached the ski team here in 1956 while Bobo was coaching the Olympic team in Cortina. Bob was my Olympic coach in 1964. He's a very different coach than Don or Bobo. Bob brought a football mentality to our sport. Physical conditioning was paramount, fierce competitor, and loved challenging the status quo. I often joke with Bob that we used to agree on everything, and now we don't agree on anything. Bob's a dear friend. I really love the guy because his heart is always with the athlete. So in closing tonight, Karen and I always enjoy attending graduation. It's fun, it's festive, there's a lot of great energy. A few years ago, we saw a graduate holding up a large handmade sign. It said, "If you went to Middlebury, you're lucky enough." Folks, I went to Middlebury. I'm more than lucky enough. Thank you.